The strategies and concepts discussed are for educational purposes only and do not represent specific investment, tax, or estate planning advice. Investing carries an inherent element of risk, and it is possible to lose principal and interest when investing in securities. No strategy can guarantee a profit or prevent a loss. The views expressed represent the personal opinions of the presenter or featured guests, not necessarily those of USA Financial or its affiliated subsidiaries. Any opinions or forecasting statements are subject to change at any time and without notice. John Cyndia is an investment advisor representative of, and advisory services are offered through USA Financial Securities Corporation, member FINRA SIPC, a registered investment advisor. Life Stages Advisory is not affiliated with USA Financial Securities. Life Stages Advisory, Dean or Remington, or any guest we have are not affiliated with USA Financial Securities. Welcome to episode 77 of WTF, Wealth, Tax, and Finances. I'm your host, John Cyndia, certified public accountant, personal financial specialist. I have Dean and Remington joining me today. Hi, guys.
Hello.
What we're going to talk about today
Whoa.
is what?
I didn't get to say hi.
I know. You said hi, that's it. I cut you off because we went off the tracks too early the last time.
Gosh.
We're going to get into
Try
it.
to keep this one under 20 minutes.
Yes.
No, under 40.
You went under 40.
No.
So say hi.
Hey, John, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine.
Are you doing good?
All right. These guys aren't coming back. They're asses. Okay. What we're going to talk about is buying your first house. Some things to look at and pitfalls in this market, which we've all talked about at length off the camera here over the last several weeks. Most of the areas around the country are short on inventory. So anybody buying a house, whether it's your first one, your second one, your fifth one, you're adding to rental properties or whatever, are getting into bidding wars. So if something's coming around for $100,000, it could sell for $120,000, $130,000. If it's $250,000, it could be $300,000 by the time they get done. The other thing is, if this is your first house, some of the statistics were coming back that first-time home buyers are looking at their first houses around $200,000, $250,000, which I don't think that's a starter home.
That's insane.
That's sort of crazy. A couple of areas, depending on where you're at on the coast, they were looking at starter homes at $350,000. So, we're going to bring this down a couple of notches and say, hey, if you're looking at a house around $100,000, $150,000, and that's still, quite a bit for that, what is it you have to look out for? Because I was reading an article the other day that said around 60 to 65% of the people who bid or got caught up in the bidding, won the bid on the house that they got, are disappointed and have quite a few regrets.
Buyer's remorse.
Well, you had people that were
Exactly.
skipping out on inspections and like, I don't care. I saw a picture of it on Facebook and I want that house. Give me it.
Exactly. They were looking things online, never looking at it, haven't gone through the house whatsoever, and buying it sight unseen. A lot of the things that we can attribute to, they didn't add in the real estate taxes. They didn't look at getting quotes on the insurance. Could they get insurance? Could the house even be insured? The fact that they didn't have an inspection. They found out that later there was roof problems. There was water damage. They had foundational errors and problems with the structure. Then you go around and you start looking at other things like, what about the school area? Is it rural? Is it out in the suburbs? Are you looking at a condo? What other things you have? So you've got all these factors, and nobody's even thinking about these things. We went down on vacation into Clearwater right after tax season was over, and we rented a condo. The condo for the week was, I think it was about $1,800. Talked to the guy that had it. They originally bought it for $400,000 in like 2008, I believe it was. It was right after the collapse of the real estate. So they got it for like $400,000. I think it was up for $600,000. They bought it for $400,000, and now they said it's worth like $1 million. And you're sitting here thinking, okay, it's a decent sized condo, about 1,800 square feet, couple bedrooms and stuff on the 7th floor out of 8 stories. But it was $900 a month was the condo fee, the assessment. So you're looking at $11,000
Jeez.
a year for
Holy-
that, because a lot of the condos that you'll get, and if they're looking at it $1 million, I mean, I look at it that was set up. I don't know how many times they raised it. I can't imagine they had $900 assessment fee when it was $400,000.
Right. Yeah.
It may have been $200-$300 a month, but it's gone up extensively. But it's $900. That was for the monthly fee, and I thought, okay, that's pretty steep. But maybe you get that in $1 million condo. I don't know down there, but I do know that if you're not ready for something like that, even a $200 or $300 assessment. I've been looking at condos around this area and talking to some clients, and $250,000-$300,000 condo, they're looking at $450 a month.
Jeez.
And I'm like, what's
And
going
that's
on
just
here?
a fee for it to be.
That
where-
would be maintenance. That would take in some of the real estate taxes.
So that's
That would
pretty
take
much like.
into-
Gosh, that's almost like another mortgage.
Oh yeah,
It's
you're
just
looking
a
at that
fee.
stuff,
Insane.
and then you still have your insurance on top of that because you got to
Right.
get your condo insurance for the contents. And that's the other thing. Depending on when you're looking at this, you may put in a bid on something and hope that you get it, and then you can't insure it. Partly because it hadn't or didn't have an inspection, it hadn't been inspected or looked at by the time the insurance person comes in and starts looking through and does a walkthrough. It's like, hey, you got to get some of these things fixed, or we're not going to insure it. So then, do you want it for replacement cost, or do you just want it for depreciation? If you normally go in and you get something insured, you got to watch the insurance agent, because the insurance agent just might say, well, yeah, we can insure the house, no problem, valued at $180,000. Yeah, okay, fine. Well, you have to understand that unless you get replacement cost or something that's going to have an inflation rider on it, in addition to that, all you're going to do is get a depreciated value of that. So if it's worth $250,000 and you bought it for, say, $150,000, and it burnt down, you're going to get $150,000. So you don't have replacement cost, you ain't getting $250,000.
Well,
You're
yeah,
not going to get what it's actually worth.
Yeah.
You got
With,
what it was worth.
Exactly.
with
And-
that insurance though too, like I know my aunt and uncle, they bought their house a couple years back, but they have a pool in the back
Mhm,
and it has a diving board,
mhm.
and they had to go back and forth on like, do we cut it off and just have a pool, or do we want that fun little feature?
Mhm.
They kept it. There was one agency that was going to insure them, and it was, I think they said like 3 or 4 times more expensive than
Mhm.
if they would have just chopped it off.
Because the swimming pool, the diving board, or both, or
Just
what?
the diving board alone
Yeah.
for the house, because that was there when they were looking at like buying it, but they had the option of removing it to save
Mhm.
money. But they're like, I want something fun, and then boom, insurance through the roof on that.
Sure. So there's all these little nuances that you have to sit here and you worry about when you're getting into looking at these homes. And we've had some friends of ours had gone through and they put in a bid, or they were wanting to put in a bid, I should say, and they were hem-hawing around. Well, you can't hem-haw around for an hour or a day or half a day, that they lost like 6 or 7 houses. But it
Oh,
was like,
geez.
to me, that's a good thing, because they finally found one
Yeah.
that they had. Thank God for his, procrastination that, they were
Yeah,
able
and
to
you-
find something. But you can't get caught up into that. It's an auction thing. That's
Right.
what it amounts to.
Yeah. So like right now, my grandma's looking to buy a new home,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm looking to buy a new home here shortly. And I'm thinking, like, I've been thinking, if I wait, or, if she waited, or, whatever the situation is, kind of been working with her to help her find what she's looking for. With my friend that's a realtor too. So, and I'm like thinking about like, the market beforehand, like where you had the opportunity to, well, we could go to this showing, and then, we'll keep this one saved, and then we'll go to this showing next week, and we'll keep that one saved.
Mhm.
And then, we'll go to this one, and all right, what do we not like about this house? We like about this house. You don't have time to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even have time to go to 3 showings.
Yeah.
They're going to be all sold.
Yeah.
So that's why, kind of the same thing I've been telling my grandma. I was like, if you really like this house, you need to decide now.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't 1970. You don't have 2 months. This
Well-
house isn't going to be on the market for 60 days for you to take a look.
Exactly. But the same thing. You can't get caught up and say, okay, if you really like it, that's one thing after you do your homework on it too,
Right.
The
Is
problem
is it worth that?
yeah.
Are you going to stay there long term? Does it fit your needs moving for the next 20 or 30 years?
Mhm.
Some things you need to think of. Because I think a lot of people, especially younger, like, our age,
Yeah.
they look to buy a house for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, are you sure about that?
Mm-hmm.
Because then after you fix it up and you do things and you kind of like the neighborhood, you're like, well, this might be a 15-year home.
Mm-hmm.
That's
and-
where I'm at.
Yeah, and I think that happens to a lot of people is like, you're buying a starter home per se, but you need to think long term on it
Mm-hmm.
just because you never know.
Just in case, yeah.
Yeah, you might actually end up liking the neighborhood and then you're like, wow, this house sucks, but we really like the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Well, should have thought of that.
Yeah.
So there's just things that, when I look at houses and I think of things like that, I'm like, all right, well, I need to consider the costs of these. I need to consider this area, this school district, even though I don't have kids, because I can't.
It's going to have resale value.
Yeah, it's going to have resale value for one. And for two, I mean, I can't predict the future.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I like the neighborhood. Maybe I don't want to move away.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I don't want, to have a crazy high mortgage payment. And maybe I want to have a cheaper house. And, well, I'm not going to move somewhere else and have a, similarly priced house. Normally you want to move up,
Mm-hmm.
So it's just things that,
Well, it's when
I
you're-
think about.
when you're talking about that, like you said, I want this, but how's that fit? You almost have to back into it on your budget. You might have $800 a month, like I said, on your rent, and your max is to make it comfortable is $1,100. Now, when I'm talking $1,100, I'm not talking just a payment. I'm saying $1,100 all in. That's with your PITI, your PITI. That's your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. So when you're all in,
That's a
and they
new
do
one.
the-
I've never heard of that.
No,
What's
it's
it
your
again?
PITI, PITI, PITI. Yeah, it's your principal, interest. That'd be your payment,
Right.
and then taxes and insurance.
Okay.
So you've got your PITI payment, and that's usually all in. Because normally if you're going to borrow, the lender is going to request you to escrow. So you've got to have normally 12 months in there, and then they're going to take so much more out of every payment so that when your real estate taxes come due, they're automatically paid. When your insurance comes in, it's automatically paid. And,
It's all part of that singular payment.
yeah, unless you're putting down like 50, 60, 70%, then you may get away without having that escrowed. But
Well, a lot of first-time home buyers,
that's not going to
unheard
happen.
of unless you get a lump sum from.
Exactly.
We took our stimulus
inheritance
checks.
or something, yeah.
We took our stimulus checks, and that was our down payment for the house we got. Like we just saved that back, but
Mhm.
if we wouldn't have had that, that wouldn't have been.
Now, you plan on staying there, you think, now for a while? Longer than you thought, or what?
They
I don't
graveled
know.
the driveway, and now they're staying.
Well, the thing is, when we bought the
Take it with
house,
you?
yeah,
Talk
we'd
about-
take it all back. But
Just sift the dirt out of it. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
when we bought the house, when we were doing the first walkthrough, even before we bought it, actually, there was a lot of stuff we needed to fix. Like the bathroom was bad. And we completely fixed that, put a shower in, tiled it. We did all of it ourselves, so we saved money, but we're still dumping so much into this house. And I don't know, I'm in the mindset of I like the work we've done. I like how it looks. We still have a lot more to do, but I don't know. I could see myself staying there, not long term, but Jess wants to just fix it up and get out of there. But I don't know. I'm trying to convince her maybe 5 years, 10 years max.
Mm-hmm.
But she's like, nah, we're going to get it done 2 years and we're going to on to the next one.
Well, and I think, and a lot of people, they're like you put blood, sweat, and tears into it.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get to the point where you're like, wow, I actually kind of like the work we've done here, and I'm never gonna,
I can't
We're
buy
not
a
gonna-
house that's going to have
you're not
this.
gonna ever buy a house that checks all the boxes.
Right.
Same thing I told my grandma. You're not ever gonna buy a house that checks all the boxes. It's always gonna miss something. There's always gonna be a tree you don't like, or this window in this area. It's always gonna be something you don't like. So you know, when you make something yours, and this like leads me back to like my parents, is like you make something yours, you kind of don't want to go anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if you don't have the means, like, you know, and I've never been brought up to like, you know, we need to have a big house, you know, we need to have a 4,000 square foot house. So it's like, if you don't want anything like that, then shoot, you know, maybe what you are buying might be future state. You might die there. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, the house, when we came back from North Carolina, we left Ohio. We had about a 5,000 square foot house. We went down there, had a Williamsburg Colonial for about 3,000 and about 3 acres. Then we came back. We said, nope, we're going down to a single story ranch, about 1,800 square feet. That's exactly what we got. And we've gotten it. It was open concept. It wasn't all cut up or anything. And it had extra wide doorways and extra wide hallways. So the guy who built it was already older. He ended up passing away before he finished it, but he had gotten it to the point where it would be wheelchair accessible throughout the house.
Huh.
So we got extra
Planning to
wide
be in a
doors.
wheelchair, John?
Not me, he was. And I sat there and I thought,
John's gonna have one of those electric scooters. You're gonna do like 30 through the house.
I'm gonna
just
have a
lion.
we're gonna have rascal races down the hallway is what it is.
Maybe we take, you know,
Set
those
up some jumps.
Yes.
Yeah, you know those golf carts. You take the limiter out of them. Yeah, that's what you're going to be doing in there.
Yep. We got, instead of skateboard ramps, we're doing rascal ramps. Is what we're doing down.
Nice.
But so we got that, and it's got the laundry room on. It's 2 bedrooms. The laundry room is what would have been the 3rd bedroom. So that's upstairs. And if we don't ever have to go downstairs, we don't have to. But
yeah.
you know, so far we don't have any problem getting around or whatever. But it's got a full basement in it, and we just got the kitchen redone. But we've been in there now, I think it's going on 12, 13, 14 years. I can't even remember. That's the longest we've ever been in a house. Usually it's been anywhere from 3 to 5 years now. We ended up having to move for some reason or another
Well,
and moved up. But, you know, it's always been a positive thing when we did it.
you can always have, like, my girlfriend's parents have one and my grandparents have one. They built a house on the ground up, and that's going to be like the keep it in the family property. Like Jess has a creek house down in North Carolina, like on the base of the mountain, and they've been building that thing up for, God, I don't know, like 20, 30 years, continuously adding to it. And it's like, once they're gone, that's going to be our responsibility. And once we're gone, it's just going to pass down. So like, if you want to think like super long term, you can think like that. But
Yeah.
that's about as far out as I can picture.
Yeah. So we figured, you know, if anything else, a lot of people that we know and some clients, they want to maintain a house here and then they want to buy something else down south. And, you know, when you're starting to look at a second home and you're saying, okay, I'm going to stay there anywhere from 3 to 6 months. Now you got to figure out, you know, what's the upkeep? You're going to have twice as much upkeep. They don't plan on renting it out, so they're not going to have any offset cost or any way to recoup anything. They don't want to have that. So you're basically having 2 homes. You're only going to be living in one half the year. And, you know, regardless of what else is happening there, you have to come up with, you know, the funds and everything for that. And, you know, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, if you're in your mid-70s and you're buying a $300,000 vacation home, and I'm, you know, just trying to do the math real quick, and it's like you spend, say, you get a pretty nice rental during January, February, and March for $3,000. That's $9,000. Say, you know, let's round it to 10. You know, you do that for the next 30 years, you're still not going to have $300,000 into it, renting somebody else's condo for $10,000 a quarter when you're down there. So, you know, you're getting, even if you're paying cash, which we've had some clients do that recently, and, you know, they're taking money out of their retirement plans. They're buying for $250, but it's cost them $350 by the time they take their taxes and everything with their other income that send them through the roof. So, you know, you're looking at all these different things, and it's like, it's a lot of money, and you're not down there half the time. So I would much rather say, let's stay where we're at, which we don't plan on going anywhere. You know, we're right in town, but we have one of the most secluded areas, I would say, with like maybe a half an acre in town. And you can't see your neighbors behind us on either side of us. We don't have any fences or anything, it's just all trees. So we've got pines and other trees. And then the way she's landscaped everything, you know, it's just it's like a little retreat we've got back there.
Hey, you've got that. I've got old folk country. Like,
Yeah.
Me and Jess are the youngest people on our entire block, essentially, by like 40 years.
So your grandkids basically is what it amounts to.
Everyone
Oh, yeah.
brings you over cookies and milk.
Oh, yeah. So, like, we could definitely sell that house to somebody else because the neighborhood's amazing there. So, that's
Yeah.
something to think about, too.
You know,
Well, that's it. Yeah.
I've got a family lives out in California, probably like I don't know, hour and a half outside of San Francisco,
Mm-hmm.
inland towards the east side. So they have a house in Mountain View, and then they built a mansion in San Jose, which is like the mansion's like a block from the beach. It's up a hill. It's ridiculous. It's like 4,000 square foot.
So, wealth, taxes, and finance vacation here soon?
Yeah. So
We need to do some research, I think.
Yeah. So the home in Mountain View is worth over $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
John, this home is it's all antique furniture. It's so out of date,
Really?
and they have no air conditioning. It's like 1,200 square foot,
Okay, maybe we
and
don't
it's
go.
just
And it's $1
that-
million?
and it's worth over $1 million. It's just because that area is just so you can't build, no more room to build. What's there is there.
Oh, wow.
And they have that house. Mind you, they're both older. The one uncle's probably in his 80s. She's probably also, they're both in their 80s. Both got to be in their mid to later 80s. They built this house, the mansion. It's got an elevator in it. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. Crazy view of the beach. Everything's all updated inside. They don't ever go there. They don't have anyone in there. It's empty.
What?
No one ever goes there. And it's been like that for years.
We might have to house sit for a while. We'll do
Yeah,
that.
and I-
Our next episode
and
is going to be from the
so-
West Coast.
Yeah. So my grandma, she went out there to visit, and she's trying to, like, explain to them, like, you could be renting this out, post it on Airbnb or on some of the condo rental websites, and like, this could be a serious income for you. Why are you not considering? Well, we don't want to waste our time. We don't know anything about technology. And there's like so many people out there like that. You get older and you have money and you build a home, or you buy something crazy expensive, a second home, third home, and you don't use it. Do something with it.
Mm-hmm.
It can be an investment. It doesn't have to just be for your own enjoyment.
They're obviously comfortable enough that they don't need the money. Is that it?
I would guess so, but it's like,
It's a dead asset. Why
to
not
me,
do
it's-
something with it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
do something with it. If you're not going to use it, sell it. And if you're, if you think it can make some money, I know it can. I've seen the view.
Offer them 10 grand. See if
Yeah,
we can.
but you know what? I know you guys got like $3 million into this build, but I was thinking, I'll take it off your hands for 15,000.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and and it's like they built like an so it's two, it actually might be 3 stories, and it's up
God.
this mountain, and it's got all this land out in front of it. It's got a big driveway. You could put a ton of cars in this driveway, 4-car garage,
Mm-hmm.
and they built a loft for an apartment on it. So it's like apartment, loft, and then the rest is a home, and it's like close to 4,000 square foot. Everything. They never even finished the loft area. So their initial, reason for doing it was to live in one portion, rent the part out. They just never ended up doing it. They pretty much never go there.
Jeez.
And it's like, it could just be doing so much better with that.
Yeah.
It's just me, and I'm thinking about like, what could I be doing with a property like that?
Yeah.
And it's like, and what I'm leading back to is, do you need that?
Mm-hmm.
Do you need that second property, or are you going to use it?
Well,
Something to think about.
Yeah, and it all goes back to we started this off, with buying your initial house, but then even if it's a second or third or fourth house, you still have to have a little bit of common sense as to what are you spending. You may have the means to do it, but it just seems, like you said, such a waste to just let it sit there.
Yeah.
If someone isn't enjoying it, sell it, get rid of it, or reduce some of the assets. It sounds like they probably just need some other assistance or planning or help or something like that. But
Yeah, but it's like, I don't have to tell anybody to do with their money. If you got a lot of money and you want to build a $4 million house in the hills somewhere and never go to it,
oh
okay,
yeah, that's their prerogative. Exactly.
Yeah, whatever you want to do. But it just comes down to, kind of being smart, being intelligent with your money, being intelligent with your investments, being intelligent with your real estate purchases. And like, if you have the money to do it, whatever, you know, go ahead. But it's like, there's better ways to spend that money if you're not going to use that property.
Yeah. And, it gets back, I had said that in some episodes before that I've got clients that say I still need some more money before I retire, or they are retired and say I still need more money. It's like they're living, like you'd mentioned before, 60% of, below their means or whatever, and they'll never spend what they've got. And I've asked them, I said, well, how much do you need? Well, I don't know. I just feel like I don't have it. You get into a accumulation mode, and you can't get out of it, and they don't spend anything. So, you got some that turn around and spend stuff and never use it and probably forget where they spent the stuff. And there's houses all over the place. And then there's other ones that, they don't have the money, but they want to try and get something. They keep strapping themselves. And, once you do have that, I've had clients that turn around and say, yeah, we're going to rent this place down in Myrtle Beach. We paid $500,000 for it. Well, they're making too much money to offset it anyway. And they thought they were going to have a write-off. Well, you get over a certain amount of money, you can't do that. You just have to accumulate those losses till you get rid of it. They didn't even know it. So if you turn around and you lose it, and then you lose more money and everything, it exacerbates the whole tax situation too. And you're really behind where you thought you were going to be, and you never get ahead from that standpoint. So you got to be smart on the real estate side too. But that's why, we said, hey, if we ever get to the point where we really want to go somewhere, I don't want to be forced to go somewhere constantly every year for the same 3 months. And for some people, that's fine. But, it's just like people who belong to a country club. You feel compelled to go to the same course all the time. If you do something else, you got that house, you got to go to that place all the time. I want to do other things, and I don't know if I ever want to go down someplace 3 months.
Well, yeah, and it's like and another thing too is like, if you buy a home in Florida or Louisiana, wherever you buy it, buy a beach or whatever it is, and you only go to it 3 months out of a year and you don't rent it out, you need to think about other things like who's going to upkeep the home? Are you going to go down there, every few weeks and check up on it? Or are you going to pay somebody to do that? Those are other things to think about. Like my family has a cabin in West Virginia, and someone has to go down there every few weeks and mow. And it's like over an acre that needs mowed. So it's not like you go down there and it's like push mow the front yard and you leave. It's like you need to spend the whole day there. And it's not 20 minutes away. It's 2.5 hours. Yeah. So, you got 5 hours worth of driving, 2 hours of mowing. You're pretty much spending an entire Saturday doing that every few weeks.
You've got gas money you're spending. You've got your time that's worth something. Not as much as mine, but but you're sitting there looking at that and going, okay, could we get some local person down here to mow it? And what would that be? Could you get them to do it for $50 or $100 or whatever? You'd probably save that with the gas going up. You probably save in gas now,
right?
And so it's a situation, but you're going to be paying it, but now it becomes more of a convenience that you don't have to go down there and spend 5 to 8 hours, to do that.
Taking care of it. Yeah. And I think this whole conversation, not trying to talk anybody out of like,
no,
if you want something,
well, yeah, you're going to get it.
What we're trying to get at here is like, the things that you don't think about.
Exactly.
Like, are you considering, these very small nuanced items that are annoying pretty much? Are you thinking about that? So
yeah, we haven't even talked about furnishing the place. We haven't talked about
this cabin,
doing any of that.
Yeah, this cabin in West Virginia has got furniture in it from the 1800s.
Yeah, we have Big Lots couches. That's how we furnish. We just bought cheap.
Yeah,
good but cheap.
Yeah,
just get some couches in there.
Good and cheap. Yeah.
Good and cheap.
Yeah,
that's my motto.
Well, I would use like a lawn chair. Put my TV on the ground.
We had a futon in the living room for the longest time, just clicked to couch mode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then finally got an actual couch and threw that in the basement.
It's called rotating the inventory.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But, so like Dean said, it's just sort of trying to get you to think outside the box a little bit, and then to try and make sure that you're not missing anything. Check off the little boxes there of things. Don't be in such a hurry. Something will come along. I've never been forced to go into anything. And, if you do that, you usually end up screwing something up, or you're going to have, whether it's going to be buyer's remorse, you're going to find something that you missed and it's going to cost you even more than, what you paid for it in the long run when you pay for something over and above what you're getting caught up into these bidding wars and stuff.
Right.
So that's definitely not worth it. And if there is ever a pullback on it, then you're going to have, it's going to be hard to get back to square one anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, we hope you found this helpful. Again, if you have any questions or comments, John J. Cyndia at lifestagesadvisory.com. Like us, and remember to subscribe. Watch us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and iHeartRadio.
Nailed
Thanks.
it.
See you next time.